You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. It's always our pleasure when we get a few minutes with Tommy Moffitt, of course, longtime LSU strength and conditioning coordinator, now running the Moffitt Method. And we're excited to have Coach for a couple minutes with us here. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing great, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Man, it's my pleasure. It's always great to hear your voice. We get to see you here now as well for those who are watching along with us. Hey, is second season now that you're not on a sideline during game day? What is maybe the most notable or starkest contrast for you watching a game at home as opposed to being there in the stadium on the sideline?
Probably the sideline. It's the sideline, the noise, the contact, and just being in the middle of the fight. My voice is a lot better on Sunday mornings also. So,
I love it.
But yeah, I missed the actual action that takes place on the sideline a lot. So.
Like this LSU team. I presume you still watch the Tigers on Saturday. You get to watch the games.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know a lot of the veterans on this team. I mean, you coached and trained a lot of these guys. Is there anybody or like observations that you have from afar, like looking at this team on how guys have maybe built, developed, grown, just anything that stands out to you?
Well, so I was shocked to hear that Savion Jones was 285. I thought that was awesome. The guy that I'm most proud of is Charles Turner. Charles really stuck it out and kept practicing. He's a tough, hard-nosed guy. So it's good to see him out there playing. Malik, watching him have the day that he had. Plus, I'm a fan of some of the new guys, too. Well, of course, I know Emory Jones, of course, from being from Catholic High.
Sure.
Will Campbell. It's great to see those guys. And then Caleb Jackson. I saw Caleb when he was, I guess he was a sophomore. I watched him play in I guess it was a JV game. It was Catholic High versus, it was their varsity team against Catholic High's JV team. So it was good to see that. So yeah, I'm a big fan and I watch it. I talk to Coach Davis every once in a while, Frank Wilson, Jake. I saw Jake on the sideline getting after it, so I text him during the game. So yeah, I'm a big fan and I still watch it and I'm fired up about the Tigers.
I want to talk a little bit about obviously the Moffitt Method and what you're doing now. We'll get to that in a sec. But there's a couple of players you mentioned I wanted to ask about. So you mentioned Savion Jones being 285. And it's, look, Coach, I would say for us, the media, when you go out to fall camp, it's so interesting, right? Because you see guys in spring, which would be, April maybe. And then so like May, June, July, then like August, you go out there for fall camp, and there's always guys that have remade their body, right? Every year it happens, but it's your first glimpse seeing them. It's almost like your kid growing up over 4 months when they're little. Like you see them every day, so you don't notice, but if you come back in 4 months, you're like, oh my God, you grew up. Yeah. That was Savion this year. You're like, look at 35. So what do you think, like how difficult, what is the challenge there in getting a guy to remake his body like that and to still like good weight, right? I mean, it's good weight, the way that he's done it.
Yeah, well, a lot of it has to do with genetics and just how early or late he matures. There's guys that, they quit growing when they're sophomores or juniors in high school. And then you have others that continue to grow until, they're 21 years old. So that, and then they may finally, the light switch clicks on and they make a commitment to eating well. Getting proper sleep at night is huge when you're trying to put on weight and muscle. So yeah, there's plenty of factors, and then just making a commitment to the off-season program and saying I'm going to lift, I'm going to eat, I'm going to get my butt in bed, and I'm not going to burn the candle from both ends and getting it done. And Savion, watching him brings a smile to my face because he's such a great kid. And then Mason Smith, overcoming the ACL. And I saw him eating some double teams during the game. I wasn't envious of that for him, but yeah. So it's great to see those guys rehab and get bigger and stronger. It's a lot of fun.
Tommy Moffitt is our guest here. Let me go back to Caleb Jackson since you mentioned him.
Yeah,
and like that. So I'm always mentioned I mentioned fall camp. Well, there's always also freshmen where you go into fall camp and you see that guy for the first time, and it's like, holy crap, who's, you know what I mean? Because like you hear about these guys throughout the recruiting process, and you show up the first day. Like I remember, Corey Thompson was one of those guys. Coach, first day looking at Corey Thompson was like, that kid's a freshman. Fournette obviously was like that. Well, you look at Caleb Jackson. Does he remind you of another running back as a freshman, just physically, that build, size, physicality, all that?
Yeah. Well, you said Leonard, but what I liked about him was his acceleration, and he didn't play a lot as a freshman because we had a bunch of guys. But the first time I saw Stephen Ridley touch a football when he was a freshman, he accelerated like a rocket. I mean, it was just like, boom. And that when I saw Caleb take the ball, that's what I thought of with Stephen Ridley. Because, we had other guys that were his size, but they didn't have that acceleration like Caleb and Stephen had. So, but I think he's going to be probably more physical. I hope Stephen's not listening today, but I think he'll probably be more physical. But so I don't know if you know George Wood, but George is a good friend of our family's. His dad is Damon Woods. George went to Liberty High, and George kept telling us about this kid on their roster. And so when I saw him as a sophomore, I guess he was a sophomore when I saw him, I immediately picked up the phone and started dialing our running back coach at LSU and saying, hey, they got a kid over here that's a really good player. And, Coach Frank Wilson would tell you about how many times, every time I saw a running back, I always picked up the phone and called. But he's got the acceleration that you have to have in order to get to the line of scrimmage and then through, that second level. And that's what I like seeing. And the physicality, not, turning down a hit or going out of bounds. That's the thing that, as an old lineman and an old line coach, that's the type of stuff that I like to see.
Man, it's fun to watch that dude. I mean, dump trucking the guy the other day was on the sideline. But also, it reminded people of the hit against, Fournette had against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Tell me if this makes sense, though. I want to go back to, your early days at LSU. I look at Caleb Jackson's lower half, and I think LeBrandon Tofield. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But I think LeBrandon had some wheels on him, but I think Caleb actually accelerates better than him. Wow. But yeah, there's been so many of them that have had those big legs, and gosh, man, I was going to say Charles Scott, was one, and Keelan Williams had big lower bodies, but Caleb looks to accelerate better than all of those guys. So. Again, I hope none of those people are listening.
They probably are, and I'm sure at some point it might come back.
Yeah.
Coach Moffitt's with us. One more, and I want to talk about Moffitt Method. You're 3 games into a season now, and it's a grind. You're just starting SEC play. How do these guys work to maintain strength, speed, freshness, all of that throughout the next 3 months?
Yeah. So first of all, they've assembled a great staff over there, whether it's Dr. Frakes or Jake and his staff, and they have a sports science department that is really high tech and advanced, and they have all the gear that they need. And so the first thing you want to do is look at the load every day and see how much they're working, making sure that they're eating well and sleeping. So without proper nutrition and proper rest, none of the other stuff matters. And then monitoring the practice load and making sure, because that's the greatest stressor. And then the other stuff, the strength work, the stuff that you do in the weight room, you want to dose it accordingly based on what the team's needs are, and then break it down for each individual. So those offensive and defensive linemen have different needs than the skill position players. So like, for instance, I saw Malik when he made that catch and he landed on his shoulder, he came out. That looked to be an AC sprain or something, or, he dinged his AC. So that's going to be sore. So you have to manage all of that stuff. But it all goes back to managing the practice load, making sure that they're eating well, and then sleeping. And then, handling travel, making sure that, guys are getting back on Saturday night or early Sunday morning and getting in bed, because that's the thing that takes the toll on you in the conference outside of practice and all of that, is to travel. And that was one thing that is tough to deal with if you're not managing it properly.
Maybe the most underrated part of playing sports at a high level is that people seldom talk about, Coach, is the travel. I mean, we've talked to our mutual friend Terrio. You think about playing in the bigs when you're taking 80 flights, 60 flights over the course of it's incredible the wear and tear that take on your body. Tommy Moffitt is our guest on Twitter at Tommy Moffitt. So you've launched the Moffitt Method. Are your days as a college strength and conditioning coordinator, are they done, or do you want to coach again?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would be lying if I said that I didn't miss it. I do. I really miss it a lot. And I've been offered some really, really good jobs. But it's all about timing. And working with the right people at the right time at the right place. So if I said my days of college coaching were over, I would be guessing. I don't know. If the right position, and even if it were an assistant job, the right position at the right school for the right people, I would jump on it in a heartbeat. But I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. It's been a lot of fun building a product. And then I'm still coaching. I talk to coaches every day. So there was a lot of inclement weather on Saturday across the country. I had 2 schools call me right when the lightning delays hit, and they asked me, Coach, what do we do? So I'm always busy doing stuff like that, and then I travel. So I'm still coaching and I'm still involved in a lot of ways because I have friends out there that are working hard every day, in the eye of the storm. And so I'm still coaching, but yeah, I would love to coach again if it was the right situation.
Well, in the meantime, you've launched the Moffitt Method, which is such a cool concept. The MoffittMethod.fit. If you want to go to the website, you can learn more. Download the app, the MoffittMethod.fit. Tell us about it, Coach.
Okay, so we developed a remote coaching program. We use an app called Team Builder. We delivered the app remotely and assign a coach or trainer, depending if it's a team or an individual. So for every team, we assign a coach to that team. That coach is in contact with the coaching staff at the school daily or hourly if need be. We update each week's programming on Sunday night at 5 p.m. And from that time on, we're working with the individual schools or people in the one-to-one program, making sure that they're getting everything that they need. And I just looked at the tally. I was in YouTube today working on some podcasts. We now have 350 instructional videos in the program. So you're not just getting a training template with sets and reps, You're getting some really high quality videos, that aid in the teaching process. And then you're getting nationally certified coaches that support the schools. And then, of course, me. So I'm involved in every school and every program. We contact the coaches, whether they like it or not. We contact them once a week and we have some schools that we contact and they'll say, Coach, I'm doing fine. Everything is good. Don't need you. And that's good, and then there are other people in schools that are a little more needy, but it's been a lot of fun. And it's something that I can use to keep me from getting bored. If, for the people who know me know that there's not any dust settling on me. So it's been a great time working on it and developing it. We have a great team of coaches and co-workers that have done a phenomenal job. And I wouldn't be our company wouldn't be where we are today without the help of so many people, Guarantee Media and TJ and Matt Bruce and Rob Muse and on and on, Josh McGee and on and on and on. So we got a great staff of people that work with us every day, and it's been a blast.
The Moffitt Method.fit. Check out the website. You download the app as well, the Moffitt Method app. It's a great way to get one-on-one training with Coach Moffitt, or for entire team training. You can learn more. The Moffitt Method.fit. Coach, it's always great to chat, man. We got to do this more often. I know I say it every time we talk. We got to do it more often.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Hey, my schedule's wide open, Matt. Anytime.
We're going to do it again soon, Coach. We appreciate the time. Have a great week.
Thank you very much. Go Tigers.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.